Hello and welcome to Top of the World. Today's video isn't as exciting as some, it's not as adventurous as some, it's more skills based, and it's all about starting to work on all the projects that I've got stacked up for the winter. Last winter didn't go so well by way of all the different projects needed to be doing, and I slipped on some of them and it rolls an entire year, and here we are back at the beginning of winter and we're inside. I'm going to make it as interesting as I can. I'm going to give you as much information as I can. Some of you, my regular subscribers, the people that joined for the woodworking and the timber and the sawmilling, this will be right up your alley. For the ones that have joined because I've been in and out of wells and plumbing, maybe you'll learn something new. Hello and welcome to the channel. So, my kitchen. When we first came here, it was a school. And it was a school that had been closed. It closed in 1979. So, we won't get into the details, but we couldn't buy a house, even though they're dirt cheap. So I decided to convert the upstairs of the school into our living accommodation. And we had two large rooms. One was an old classroom and one was an old gymnasium, and the gymnasium was still fully equipped, had everything in it, right, been untouched. Anyway, the first thing I had to do, Sarah's requirements: bathroom, kitchen and a dog. Dog. That didn't work out very well, that one. Anyway, the other two worked out great. But the first kitchen I built, it was just out of some big old shit that was in the cellar. It was, it was rubbish, and I made it look something. But it's always been my ambition that one day, when I got the rest of the building almost sorted, to build a proper kitchen, right? A Simon kitchen. What do I know about kitchens? Oh, well, I know that they can start 100 grand and go up to several million. That's what I know about kitchens. Now we build one. We build ourselves a kitchen. And that process started a few years ago when I cut down some really big birch and then I slabbed them. And a few years ago, and so for 2 years, they've been sat here inside, acclimatising and drying. And now it's time to start cutting them up. So this is the very beginning of the process to building myself a kitchen. We're just talking about fine joinery and ease of use and cupboards and drawers and, storage, and it just needs to work and not wear out and be timeless. Okay, so this has all been sat there for 2 years now. This is all the big slabs of birch that I cut for the worktops. So we're going to make a start. So I made a start on this one. This one had a big heart split in it. This one's going to have a heart split in it as well. So you can see the heart of the tree running right through the middle there. We don't want that. And of course we can see it on the other side. We don't want that. And if we look on the end, we can very clearly see it. Right, we don't want any of that. So we're going to cut this side from here and that side from there. And we're going to take the heart out. That's what we're going to do with that one. And we'll probably do, as you can see, they're cut in the full tree width. We're going to do that all the way down through all of that. Down there, I've got some softwood that I was going to make some framing out of. I've got some more birch in there, and then I've got some thinner birch up here. And the reason I've got thinner birch is the other projects that I haven't done. There's no vanity unit in the bathroom. There's no bathroom cupboard above the sink in the bathroom. We're making those out of birch. So firstly, we're going to cut all this up into usable sizes and start preparing it for final machining. well, it took me 6 hours yesterday and it's taken me an hour and a half this morning to just get what I think, and my calculations say I don't quite, but I'll show you what I have. So my pile that's been sat there for 2 years, gone. How did I do out of it? Well, unfortunately, the bits that are not quite wide enough will have to be wide enough. So these I'll keep, but these have also got to be machined. The really bad things that are no good, they're going to have to be some use. Not looking good for worktop, Simon. Okay, but this is the bulk of it. So with that, with what's on the floor down there, and with those two varying widths, I've created myself a bit of a challenge. So this is a combination of the right size and type of birch that I've accumulated over 4 years, I'd say. I've set up the really big overhand planer to take off 10 mil on one side to try and straighten it. And then I've run it through the much smaller thickness of there. And this is the worst stuff. But I can tell by the way it's planing up, and I can tell by the twists in it, and I can just tell that it's just not going to want to be stable enough for 12 foot, 15 foot long boards. Do we play ball in the factory while we're working? Yeah, through the winter. It's normal. End of day 2. I've got that big pack of wood down to that. And what this allows me to be able to do now is understand much more what I've got, what's bowed, what's twisted, what's split, what's cracked, what's no good. Has it done my little planer any good? No. None. Before we do anything in the morning, we have to have a little look at the back of that because it's not sounding very good. And I've tried to be as absolute gentle as I can. And so this pack of wood has taken me 2 days, right? In reality, $1 million spent, I could do it in 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. Anyway, I couldn't, because in order to have the kind of machinery I need to do this and better in 15 minutes, I would need a minimum of 100 amp supply, electricity, 100 amp supply. And in my last factory, I had a 500 amp supply. Here, right, I have a 16 amp supply into my building. That's it. I am on a 16 amp supply. And now I can split that 16 amps across 3 phases. Whoopie-doo. I still only got 16 amp supply. So, all the machinery in here is hobbyist. So when you've got hobbyist machinery, albeit I've sharpened all the cutters, it takes 2 days just to get this far. And it's not very good because the decks are all small. So only those that know anything about anything will know what I mean. But, a quick explanation. The length of this deck is 2 feet. And I'm trying to straighten a 14-foot board. Well, you never do it. You can't do it. So the best you can hope for is to manually straighten, which takes years to learn how to do. And then you might be able to manually straighten on that bed, which is a 7-foot bed. Anyway. I think I've done all right for 2 days. That's 2 days quite hard work, that is, because you've got to run through the machine several times. You can only take off, well, we're going to get into inches and millimetres now. When you've got something 6 inches wide going through that, you can only take off 0.5 of a millimetre, which I think is 1/64th of an inch. That's all you can take off each pass. Now, I had machines you could take off 1/4 of an inch over 3 feet. Anyway, I don't have those machines, and I don't have the electricity to be able to run one of those machines. And if I did have the electricity to be able to run one of those machines, I wouldn't be able to afford the electricity bill. Okay, see the big circle we're in? So we use these NAF, and they are NAF, hobby machines, and we do the best job we can. Now it's time to go out into the winter. And, yeah, why are we going out there then, Simon? Well, my buddy there, he's been stuck inside with me all day, and we need to go out and get some fresh air. Right, so where am I? Well, I'm on day 3 of just machining them. And what we've established in day 3 is I can now see what's usable, what isn't, what I need to cut out, what I don't need to cut out. Are they all the same width? No, that's the next process, but they are all the same depth. But I want to show you where we are in this process and the ugliness of the timber that we've got. Now, all bar one of the trees, and there's quite a few trees to make up all the birch that I've got in here, ended their life at my own hands. You kind of want to respect that. Also, I'm not producing this for the masses. I have no thought process towards the masses anymore. So we're not going to be cutting out the ugly stuff. I like the ugly stuff. Shows character. Shows the fight and the struggles that the trees had to grow and survive. Even shows chinks in their armour. So we've got 8 boards lined up here. And then we've got some half ugly rotten ones over there. Now I'm going to use a split metric imperial tape measure. Right, to save me having to convert anything. Right. So my finished width on this top needs to be 25.5 inches, 65 centimetres, 650 millimetres. And we can see here we've got some ugliness. Now some of this ugliness I'm going to want to keep and some of it isn't. If we were doing a resin coat on this, we would leave all the ugliness in and just resin it right over the top to give it, we're not, we're oiling this. Resin is another expensive process that's just not going to happen. So it will be a natural feel, including nastiness in the worktop. So by the time I've got all these down to the right width, I'm going to be a few inches shy of where I need to be. So we have some ugly boards over here, which we will be able to skinny down to make up what I need for the front edge, because I already know what are the backboards on that. So this will be the front leaded edge, the one that curves over, the one that you see. What I have there is the other worktop and the island for this particular worktop. We've got a slight bow in there. You know, we're going to have to join all these together. What I can tell you is they are 2 years temperature controlled seasoned, and they were a year air dried outside. So this is what we've got before we work on ending it, gluing it, joining it, compressing it, and getting it ready into its final shape and size. Now, I had two thought process behind this. My first thought process was to take the component pieces up into where is going to be the finished room and assemble it all up there. And that would mean setting half the room aside, it's a large room, and then setting up to glue and joint and compress and do all the finishing up there. And what that basically means is emptying that entire room. Well, that'd take me and my Sarah a day to empty that room. And then it's going to take us both a day to clean that room and then a day to put everything back into it, as well as all the extra trips from up there, down there, up there, down there, and so on and so forth. However, option number 2 is to build them to a finished state here inside the shop and then transport them from here to the outside of the building somewhere, either on the end elevation, the left or the right, and elevate them 24 feet and put them in through a window. That's the riskiest option. That's the most dangerous option. Is by far the quickest option and the less messiest option. All I have to do is work out how to put an extra 15 feet onto the forks, how to position, 20 feet of exceedingly heavy worktop in a way that it can sit on top of the 15 feet, put that on the tractor, drive it to where I need it without it falling off, and then elevate it an additional 20 feet so that I can put it in the window, or 15 feet as it is, so I can slide it in the window. Anyway, that's the option I'm going for. So I'm going to build all 3 work surfaces here to a finished state, and then I'm going to work out how to get them in. And even if I have to build something, maybe it takes me half a day to build it and half a day to disassemble it, that's still only a day to put all 3 worktops in versus the extraordinary mess, extra time, effort that will be involved in trying to get them up there. And the biggest problem is it's on the second floor, and I've only got, I think, a turning circle of 9 feet on the main school staircase. So you can rule out anything more than 9 feet being able to turn that corner. And we've put quite a lot of stuff in and out of the windows, so it'll just be another challenge. A bit more of a challenge in the winter, especially if the snow comes down. But that's the way we're going to do it. Right, we can suck this up for a minute. So this is it laid out dry. This is only the beginning of the process. And I can't put it together on this because underneath I've used the MDF that I've cut down for the tall kitchen cabinets around the refrigerator. So I've literally laid it out here. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to have to use the belt sander on the joints just to get rid of any little ridges that were out, just to try and make sure my gaps are quite tight. Did it go exactly as I'd like? No, they never do. Right? They never go exactly as you'd like. However, I think I'm going to have a really good worktop out of this. So I'm just going to reiterate this, just in case somebody decides to build it themselves. Right? Some experts are out there will tell you you don't need these. Right? Because if you put all this on right and do all your machines square and do all that, right, these will keep it square. Don't listen to them. They ain't had enough experience. Yeah? Put these on. Do it on the underside, obviously, but because overnight that will want to go like that, right? I'll tell you, it's going to want to go. And of course, when it does that, you come down in the morning and it's stuck. There's nothing you can do about it. It's too late. Right? For all the stretching and that you've got to put cuts in the back, and yeah, there is something you can do about it. But if you do this, you ain't got to do that. Otherwise, we're into cutting the back and then putting stiffeners in, and and I don't want to do that. So I'm hoping I've got it like this. And in the morning, these boards they're going to be stuck to it. But because this is OSB, I'm hoping it's just going to break apart and then we can clean up what's on the underside of this. Anyway, I should have known better than to start this job end of day, because it's now dark. It's way past the time I normally stop. I have got it together, which is why I've done it. That's taken all day to get this machined up from this morning and put together. Anyway, I think I'm there now. And in the morning, if I flip this over and I'm successful, I'm going to do the other two. Whether I get both of them done tomorrow, I can't get both of them done tomorrow, I don't have enough clamps. Anyway, I'm going to do another one tomorrow. And then the following day, I'll do a third, and that'll get my raw state tops and island together and get me some room in there so I can move on to something else. Right, there we go. It's the end of the day. It didn't lay up too bad, it didn't lay up exactly how I wanted it to, but it has stayed level. Disappointed in myself for resorting to that tape at the last minute, and I wish I hadn't have done that, because it's actually gone in some of the cracks and will emphasise the joint, but it is what it is. And if I hadn't have done that, it would have been perfect. Yeah, it actually went much better, down much better than I thought, and stayed level. And there's only one butt joint there with it's kind of even, so I can't even say it was a bad cross cut. It's kind of even. Anyway, I can deal with that. But as far as being closed up and as far as level goes, yeah, I'm happy with that. So before I do any more on the top, I want to turn it over and clean the underneath. because if you do any more on the top when you turn it over, you'll inherently get some small damage. There's not an awful lot you can do about that, especially with the size it is and the weight it is, and there being only me. You know, I've kind of got to manhandle it over, so I'm going to flip it over, do the underside, come back, do a bit more to this top side, and then I'm going to try and move it out the way so that I can lay the next one up here. And the reason I have to lay it up here is this part of the shop floor is flat, and as you get over there it kind of slopes up and it's not. Alright, we've kind of got them laid down. Now we do the same procedure as first time, they're in pairs. So we machine the pairs together to get identical widths. This one laid out, although it's not quite complete. I wouldn't go as far as to say it dwarfs the one underneath, but it's laid on top of the one underneath, and the other one underneath has disappeared. Well, we're not quite as late today, but where are we, 6, 7, still took 8 hours. It laid up a lot easier than yesterday's, I've got to say. I mean, yesterday's has come out awesome. It's really nice. So that's yesterday's, but this laid up a lot easier for whatever reason, I don't know. I actually even saw a bow starting to start here, so I've managed to get the wood screwed down to take out some of that bow. In fact, you can see, let me show you what I'm looking at. See the cup in there? If that was left without all these screwed down, that would want a cup. There's a bit of a cup there too. And by cup, I mean there's a, those that you know, anyway, it starts to want to do this, and I don't want it to. I want it to, if it does it, when everything's glued up and set, I can take it out. I can take it out on the other side. But you don't want to do it while it's setting, while it's gluing up. Anyway, okay, that's the longest one out of the 3. And I've put an extra bit on this side because this is where I need to put a kick out on the bottom. I think it stopped snowing. No, I don't think it has. I was hoping it weren't going to come down too heavy because I don't like ploughing at the end of the day. I usually just leave it and do it the next day. But, oh yeah, it wasn't too bad. It's only a little bit. Oh no, it's still snowing. Some of the joints are not as tight as, yeah. So it seemed to lay down a lot easier than yesterday's, but all that is tight and some of these are not tight. Anyway, I mean, I can fix it, but it's nice. Okay, so that's the initial getting the glue off. So show you here yesterday's, right, that's a bit of an open joint there, right, but that's the worst there is. All the joints are really nice and tight. Yeah, it didn't lay down very well, but this one, I've got a really bad open joint there. I can fix it. It's just a lot of work for me to fix that so you can't see it. And it's gone down quite nice, it's quite nice, but here, it's open on this side, and as a result, of course, it's open on that side. Again, I can fix it. There's quite a lot of work in fixing that. This joint, I thought I'd got this really tight. That's open. That's open. It's not so tight here as I'd have liked. Again, I can fix it, and then it just seems, you know, I had a fight with myself over this. Now, these are jointed together, as you can see, but I wanted to finger joint the ends. Anyway, it means buying an extra block, and you know, that's just not possible. So I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. I just got some work on the butt joints to do here, which, yeah, I thought I'd got. Anyway, obviously not. And then down here, so this is going to be the facing edge. Here, and we've got this bit sticking out, and I'll explain that. So this part of the kitchen here, upstairs, doesn't exist at the moment because originally there was going to be a door going through, so the old work surface ends and the cupboard ends, and there's like a meter. Anyway, I'm not having that door there, so I'm going to build something in, but I want the worktop, rather than all this squareness, I kind of want it to round a bit and then fade into the wall under the new wall and the window boards we built last year, the year before. But again, I didn't want a square edge coming out and look. So this allows me to cut this down here and then start the turn on this board. So I've actually got to laminate a few bits on, and then you're in this. This is already heavy. This is way too big. Me and Sarah have moved things like this between us. I wonder why I've got a bad back. So I really don't want to add another complication and a weight to it. Also, if I build this on, when it's up in the air, it's going to want to... So I'm not quite sure. I don't even know, these are so big and so heavy, how the two of us are even going to lift them into place. Well, we've done worse. We've done much worse between us with levers and ramps and straps and... Anyway. Yeah. Okay, that's that one right down. Next job for me then is to light the furnace and go and do a little bit of snow clearance. Right, so I've been out and I've cleared up the snow where I need to. Now then, birch dust. So this is the dust from sanding birch. Now I already had this. Actually, I've got a lot more in the bags of the sander. So this stuff here. I don't know why I didn't use the fresh stuff. Anyway, what's collected in the sander is the same as what's in here, basically. And they're going to mix this with some good quality water-based glue and mix it into a stiff paste. And you want to mix it into a stiff paste because you don't actually want too much glue in there. The reason for that being is it won't take the stain or the oil, and you'll have these lines that won't accept. So we want, let me show you. So I'm going to start with the smallest amount I think possible. Grab myself a mixing stick. And see if I can make a stiff paste. So I was going to describe the consistency that you're looking for is a very dry pastry. So if you're about to make a really good pie but you want a very light and crumbly pastry, that's the kind of consistency you're looking for. And if you're sitting there saying, well, what would I know about making a pastry? Well, shame on you. They applied themselves. Right. So I'm kind of happy with that. You kind of got to pack it in there. And the reason I'm looking for that consistency is I want a small amount of glue as I can get away with, but enough to make it solid. Is it me or are these things getting bigger? Okay, this is the rough layout, the island. I've kind of left it long for a minute. It needs to be cut down a bit, but now I've got to do what I did to the others and sand it all up. The other problem I've got is my regular clamps aren't long enough to squeeze this together. I've got a couple of pipe clamps somewhere, so I'm going to have to think about what I do. If I can't squeeze it tight enough, then I'll have to do it in two pieces and then join it together. So that's all that's left there out of that big pile. And there's a couple of nice pieces in there. There's some bad split pieces. I think there's two really nice pieces in there, and this will all go into something else now. But I got it just about right. So I was quite happy with how that worked out. So after putting some thought into it, I decided to do it in 2 pieces, and this is the second of the 2 pieces. And just half of it's heavy. So there's the other side, and that one. So today is day 7, the morning of day 7. We've got the 2 original ones there. And I've cleaned this up pretty good. So this one here and that one need joining together. But I don't think I'm going to join them together down here because just half of it's so heavy. I'm hoping that's the trestles and not a bow. Let's not think about that. Right, let's get this one cleaned up. Oh, we're looking over there at the dog. Hey, buddy! Ooh. And now that gap's not a gap. I've just put them together, the 2 halves. I've had to do it in 2 halves. And I've just slid them together to see what they look like. And I've laid these 2 out, having done some more work on them. Huge they are. Okay, something like that. So now that's dry jointed. I've got a big clamp here and a clamp there, pulling the 2 halves together, and I've got a step here and a step there, and then we're quite good. So we can go ahead now and clean this up as one piece. Well, this is the end of day 7. 7 days, yeah. I suppose, and I'm not finished. So where have I got to? These are all sanded down flat to 80 grit sandpaper. So I've got to do all of them again with 120 and then with 200, and then I'm into finer orbital sanding to get out all the sanding marks. I'd say there's another 30 or 40 hours work on these before I'm somewhere near ready to put something on the surface, and I've got to cut them to length. The big one over here, I've got to square up and start rounding the edges and do everything else, but you can see, I mean, it's going to be stunning, absolutely stunning once they've got oil in them. And the video is really long. I'm going to try not to bore you all. I know it's not my normal adventurous, but this is where I am and what we've got to do. It's winter. For those who've been around for a while, you know that in the winter I'm on joinery and snow ploughing until we get to, you can see outside, look. Is it cold on the other side of this door? Yes, it is. Yeah, for those of new subscribers, we're in the Arctic. It's the Arctic winter. That's it. That's where we are. As always, thank you for joining me. I wish you all the best. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.